Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now recently on my channel, we were looking at my Sig P365 and talking specifically about dummy rounds. Now at this point in my channel, I'm a novice, I'm learning, and to me having dummy rounds is very, very important. It's important to gain good muscle memory. They're an excellent training tool, and amongst other things, they give you the ability to practice your sight picture, dry firing, and really pulling your trigger, trying to avoid any potential to actually inhibit your sight picture and mess up and foul your overall aim. But today, well, these only go so far, so we're going to look at a product that now takes this to the next level. Here in my hands, I have the Strikeman Target Phone Mount Laser Firing System. So this is basically a targeting system that allows me to practice dry firing by installing a little laser cartridge in my firearm. It uses an app to pair up with a target and gives you some feedback as to exactly what's going on. Now, this is again going to be a quality dry firing tool. But with that, you need to be very careful. So the last thing I want to do is sort of mix and match live ammo with dummy ammo and also potentially having this laser system. So at this point, literally any live ammo is non-existent. So everything in a safe condition so that I can kind of, and I don't want to say play with my firearm, but it gives me the ability to do a lot of things and test a lot of things with safety in mind. So what we're going to do today is get this out of the box, do an unboxing, take a look at it, and see how this will be an effective training tool for me. Hopefully, if you're anything like me, whether you're a novice or even more of an expert, well, there's a whole bunch to learn. So at this point, there's a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Strikeman who did provide this product for review. Now you're here today on the Eric Outer channel, which is the firearms side of my Outer Limitless YouTube channel. So if you're interested in hiking, camping, backpacking, reviews on bags and gear, tents, hammocks, tarps, knives, even EDC and tactical gear, all the way through flashlights, well, do me a favor, stop over at my Outer Limitless YouTube channel and take a look. But again, here on the Eric Outer portion of my channel, well, again, talking firearms and specifically this Strikeman targeting system. So again, what we're going to do, we're going to get this out of the box, we're going to look at it in detail, and then I'm going to get to some good quality practice putting this Strikeman system into some good use. And so as we get into this here, I will be demonstrating using the Sig P365 Micro Compact. Now, this targeting system can be used with pretty much any handgun. At this point, you will see this is the laser. So this is chambered in 9mm, which my particular firearm is a 9mm firearm. You can get it in a number of different sizes depending on what you're trying to do. So that's the first thing that's very cool. And then the rest of the box here is the standard system. So this comes with all the rest. So gives you access to your app. This has the targeting system in here. So very cool. Let's get into this. First thing, I am going to open this and really start to understand. I'm sure there will be a bunch of information that we need to know. And while I'm doing this, the first thing I'm going to say is, well, I have already personally looked at a number of other reviewers taking a look at this. And some of the reviews that I found, well, quite frankly, there were deficiencies. Now, that's an important point because the people at Strikeman have put a lot of time into getting feedback from the reviewers, getting feedback from their customers, and they've been making incremental changes and improvements to the system. So the one we have here today, well, it's summer of 2021. This is a different system than what you may have seen from other reviewers. So I want to point that out so that you do realize that if there were deficiencies in the past, and if you're watching other reviews on this particular product, this has been improved. And I'm hoping that we're going to see those improvements in the demonstration today. But again, here as we get into this, well, pretty straightforward. And I always say, Packaging is not necessarily important, but when packaging is solid and sound, at least it's an indication that if they're paying attention to the details in the packaging, hopefully they're paying attention to the product, and so far everything looking pretty nice. So here you can see some instructions, a target, a base, a tripod, some suction cups, and that's about it for the box. But now getting into the laser cartridge, as you can see here. So your actual laser cartridge and some batteries. And so no surprise, the first thing they say is removing your live ammunition and getting them away from your practice area. Well, I'm glad they say that because, well, that's the first thing I talked about and it made perfect sense to me. So Strikeman just giving you a little bit of that sort of warning and just good sound practice. Now, I'm actually going to take this cartridge here, get it out and get the batteries into it. So this does require the 3 sort of button batteries here. Unthreading this in the back and you'll see they go right inside. And the instructions indicating that the flat side does go towards the front of the laser. So getting these in, and it's going to be a little bit finicky. These are sometimes a little funny, so I'm just going to work at this to get them into place and not have them rotate on me. Not too bad. That went fairly well, and hopefully all 3 go equally as easy. So let's see here. Yep, there's 2. And there's 3, so no problem. And then the tail cap here, very simple. Oop, you can already see it starting to make contact. And that laser as you press on the back striker. So this is really replicating sort of that like primer charge. So your striker is going to press this, and when it does, you'll see here shooting out that beam, so a red laser. So very simple, and that's going to work out pretty well. Now I'm going to practice. I do have an extension on this particular one, so you'll see this has the pinky extension. So I'm going to pop that in place. Now it says you do need to load the laser directly into the chamber, so getting that in place there. And I think at that point I'm just going to do this nice and controlled actually, so I'm not slamming this shut. So there we go, and yep, that worked. So as you look here, just a little like half rack. You don't need to rack it completely, and that will reset the striker. And at this point, there you go. So that's going to work out well. This is ready to go, so the laser in place. Now getting into the target, this is very straightforward. You will notice here that you just have this little base plate, and this kind of just slides in here. Sliding in and sort of center that to the best of your ability. There you go. Now obviously this can be broken down if you need to and put away. I will probably generally leave this set up because I do intend on doing a huge amount of dry fire. I would really like to practice every day, and I am certainly not going to go to the range more than, quite honestly, probably like once a month right now, because I can't really afford the ammo that it takes to go to the range more than that. So if I could dry fire, all month long and just kind of enjoy, hanging out with my firearm and getting some good dry run practice, and then going to the range once a month, that's about all I could really ask for. And so, well, personally, I have an Android, so I'm in the Android Play Store. So here, Strikeman app. Let's see what happens. Yep, Strikeman, here you go. So you can see clearly this is the Strikeman app, and install. So getting this installed, and we'll go from there. So you can see as you open the app, it does give you a number of instructions, so you can kind of pan through all this. It gives you some info kind of next here, gives you a way to calibrate, and you'll see it says a new auto calibration will detect your target. I believe that is one of the upgrades in this particular version over the prior model. So here, that will be hopefully automated. Improved detection for more accurate shots. And you can set up these templates. So save your game settings to come back. So this is basically going to be a template that we set up. So your range, your mode, your type, calibration, pretty cool. And next, dry fire is now Strikeman. So it looks like this requires you to potentially set up an account, or you can continue as a guest. So I am very interested in seeing how this goes if we sign up for it. So I'm going to start as a guest just to do it once. And right away it is looking for your info, and you can skip that. It says we highly recommend you sign up, but it's going to also allow me to skip. And it says enter your name. So Eric Outer. Here we go. Continue as guest. Sure. Watch the tutorial, buy another laser cartridge, or start. Well, I'm going to watch the tutorial real quick, and then we're going to get into this. And so as we get into this, here is the tripod that it comes with. Now, as you notice right away, the legs appear to be upside down, but lo and behold, actually pretty wise design. This whole thing kind of comes apart and unthreads, and it's just a little bit modular to the point where, well, you can expand and contract and put this in a number of different configurations to meet your needs. I think that's really cool. And the other thing that's nice is, well, if this is standard thread, I have some really tall tripods which may honestly work better for where I plan on using this than what they've provided. So it gives you that flexibility to get the benefit of your own gear if you so have it. I'm just going to leave out this intermediate piece for now, but that does allow you to sort of raise and lower, which is cool. And here, well, just threading this into place, that's going to do a nice job. Now, you also have the ability to sort of cant this to the side, and I believe, yeah, spin this. So a few different ways this can go, depending on what you're trying to do with your phone. That's going to be important because the phone itself, in the software, does need to sight on the target, and as you look there, little spring adjustment holds on to my phone with ease. And just for the knowledge, this is the Samsung Galaxy S20 in an OtterBox, so if that gives you a reference for the size, just something to keep in mind while you figure out what size your phone is and whether or not it'll work in this mount. I also suspect it is possible that this looks to be about like most GoPro mounts, so you may be able to actually pop this off and use it in different mounts depending on what you're trying to do. Now, Strikeman does say that the phone can be mounted up to 10 feet away from the target. However, somewhere between 2 and 5 feet is the most advantageous, as long as the camera on the phone can see the entire target. And that's what you're trying to do, is get the phone's camera to actually see this target so that when you hit it with the laser, it can pick up the shots. And so getting back into the app, now that I've watched the tutorial, again, keeping in mind I am in guest mode. Hitting start here, well, you do have to agree that you are being safe, and I do agree. So here, start a new session. Well, what is this going to be called? Do I want to save this as a template? This is going to be, I would call this, yeah, let's make a template. And this is going to be called Studio, which means it's where I'm going to be practicing down here. So maybe I'll have living room, maybe I'll have bedroom. Here I have studio. So what is the distance of the target to the shooter in yards? Well, I'm probably going to be, I mean, my room is 12 feet long, so that's the max. I'm probably going to be, I'll call it 3 yards, so 9 feet away. Do I want to do a timed session or number of shots? I'm going to do number of shots, and we're going to do 50 shots. By the end of 50, I'm going to be probably tired of doing this anyway. Multiple sessions, how many sessions? Well, I'm going to disable that because I really only want to do 1. Save and calibrate. Allow Strikeman to take pictures? Sure. While using this app? Yes. Do I want to allow photos and media? I guess so. Allow. All right. Wow. All right, so right away you can see it is clearly acquiring the target. No problem. So as we sit here, bam. You can see it's sort of hitting a sweet spot. It is bouncing around just a little bit, but let's see. Automatic target detection. Well, as we look at it here, plus and minus, what is this doing? So that's zooming in and out. So this lets you sort of fine tune using your camera. You can see there's some sweet spots where it gets happy. So you're just going to push this in and out until that sort of circle highlights the outside ring on the target. And so at this point, I have the automatic targeting, no problem. This picked up the outer circle with ease. So you can see in the phone that it has clearly picked up that outer circle and really has the detection working fine. So no issues there. And at this point it says start, so my session will begin. All right, 0 shots out of 50 taken. Yard range says up to 20 yards, and the time is starting, and it says session 1. So, well, let's see how we do. Little reset there. What did I get? So right there, just at the bottom of the target, total score, so that was a 9. Oop. Accidentally went too far, so being careful here. There we go. Tell you what, do that 50 times, it's certainly going to help out. Now, at this point, let's see, that's 8 shots. Let's do 2 more. So there's my first 10. Total score, 91. Average rating of a 9. So not perfect, but a good start. And over time, I can move back, I could move forward, I could play around with this. So I'm gonna do my first 50 shots here, and I'll come back, we'll see how I did. Now unfortunately, I'm not sure exactly what's going on because my phone basically has turned off, and you'll see drag to unlock. Is this still working? I've taken 19 shots, so I'm curious if this goes back to sleep, if it's really going to keep tracking. So I'm at 20 shots. I'm actually going to count them, and then if it goes back to sleep, I'll count again and see if it's still counting while it's off. I'm not too sure, but so far I'm at 20 shots out of 50 and average rating of 7. There is no possible way I'm at a 7. I am not too sure about that because I don't think I've hit anything less than a 9 yet. 22. I haven't taken any more shots. So look, it's sort of ghost shotting here. It's counting up. So that's a bit of a problem. So that's one of the things that if you watch other people's reviews, this says does have a tendency to happen. So unfortunately at this point you can see there, oh look, I'm leaning on this. So now it's up to 24. What happened? What is making that count and take these ghost shots? That I don't quite understand. So that's happening literally as we're sitting here. 25. So you'll see that's why my score is no good, and it's given me a bad rating on top of that. So I'm not sure what's happening. That's a bit of a bummer. That was something that Strikeman was supposed to correct with their software upgrade. So I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it. So where they said anywhere between like 2 and 5 feet was optimum, and then up to 10 feet, I at this point have moved the phone further away. I'm wondering if maybe I had it too close because it was probably within the 2 feet. It was actually pretty close to the target, and I want to give this a fair shot. So at this point, well, so far it says I've taken 1 shot and I have not. So that's not good. Why? And it says it was way off target. So it is picking something up. In fact, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Just this alone is counting shots. So literally, waving my hand in front of the camera counts shots, not just the laser. Interesting. And if you look at the nature of something like, say, for example, LED lights, I wonder if that's part of the problem, because LED lights are not continuous. In fact, if you were to take the frame rate on the camera, as I tweak it here, sometimes LED lights have a flickering phenomenon, and it just depends. I don't really see it too bad right now, but maybe the footage is going to pick that up. But anyway, bottom line is, I am wondering if maybe that's what's happening, where I'm in LED lights. So I'm going to have to wait till it's bright outside and give this a shot outside. I don't know if that's going to make it better, but we got to give this thing a try. So unfortunately, under the LED lights, I'm having a bit of a problem. So I decided to come up to the kitchen and try to give this a better lighting. And it seems to be fairly improved. But what you can see here is, well, that says 18. And if you like flash your hand in front of it, it thinks you're taking a shot. So if you look here, well, now it says 23 shots taken. And I do feel as though, well, it said 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Let's see what that did. Where am I here? Reboot. Oh, start over. This is a little frustrating, I have to admit. It is not working nearly as well as I had hoped. So I decided to continue on. I only did a 10-shot round, and as you can see here, I did a pretty good grouping. Obviously, I'm shooting just slightly low. It does seem to be fairly accurate. And then I had that one crazy one. I just kind of let one rip up high just to see what would happen. And yeah, I mean, at least it is tracking it. So at this point, let's look a little further into the details and see what kind of data we pull out of here. And so basically at this point, it gave me a total score of 89, had my elapsed time, and does not allow me to save it. So that's because I came as a guest and did not actually create an account. So moving forward, I am curious. I'm going to reach out to the people at Strikeman, see if they have some suggestions as to more appropriate lighting. But I do want to try this outdoors as well. So we'll continue on with the testing. So I thought this would be an opportunity to try this in some natural light. So getting it upstairs here, I've already calibrated this. Let's give this a shot and see what happens. So now, there we go. That was right in the 10. That was pretty much the 10, maybe slightly low. 10. 10, boom. And last shot here. Let's just waste one. Oh, it looks like it worked. So at this point, it says total score 83. And that seems to have worked pretty well. So I'm happy with that. Let's do now 50 shots and see what happens. So first things first, I'm going to get into this and edit. I had set it for 10 shots. I'm going to go back to the 50. And the 10 shots seemed to work well. And calibrating, well, at this point, it seems to be doing pretty well here in the bright light. So that's not bad. And I have no LEDs on here whatsoever. So it's only natural light in my living room area here. And so, yeah, so when you move your hand past the target, it's definitely seeing the movement. So that's part of what I'm wondering is going on, and it's the way this actually picks up on your shot. Usually it's seeing the laser, but if there's anything that it thinks is movement in front of that, it's going to count it as a shot. So far it says I have 13 out of 50 shots. Now, let's just run this up to 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm going to do 10 more myself and be careful of that. We'll see if it has any issues. So go in here. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that worked well. It says 30 shots out of 50. Let's see. The score is not going to do me any good, but the good news is, well, it's not making up ghost shots. So I think the ghost shots, if I can really figure out why, I honestly think it has to do with the LED lights, because LED lights have a little bit of a strobe effect with a camera, depending on the shutter speed. And you'll see here, just by doing this, well, now I'm up to 40 out of 50 shots. So the way this acquires your shot is by seeing the movement, and any movement it sees, it's going to count as a shot. So right now I'm at 40 out of 50. If I create shadows and walk by this, I'm curious. Well, now it says 42 out of 50. Shadows, more shadows. 48 out of 50. More shadows. 49 out of 50. And, well, there you have it. 50 out of 50. You'll see my shots scattered all about. And so here, as you take a look, you'll notice my shots are literally strewn all about. And that's because of the shadow and the fact that the mechanism for how it tracks, it's looking for movement. And when it sees the laser hit, that's counting the shot. And it sees where it hits and counts it as the target. So the phone being the capture mechanism and the way it's doing it, unfortunately, I think with movement and with LEDs, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. So does it work better in the natural light? Yes, it does. You just can't have any movement that the actual phone itself believes is shooting at the target. Well, so what do I think about this Strikeman laser targeting system? With preliminary testing, well, I need to say I do need to do some more testing. At this point, I don't think I'm ready to really satisfy the equation in my mind quite yet. But in reality, to have something like this that you're relying on to gain proficiency, can you do it? Sure. Are you going to use it to track and really use the data to your advantage? Probably not, because it's not accurate enough and it is too glitchy. I think the fact of the matter is, if you're just kind of using it for the target and for a basic understanding of where you're hitting, you can probably use it effectively, but again, I still need a little more practice. I feel as though this behaved better in, I would say, natural light, but for me, that's not going to be practical. I'm not going to be using this during the day. I'm going to be using it either down in my studio or at night when I'm hanging out watching TV and trying to get a little practice time in. And my whole entire house is LED lights, and I really do think that's the reason for a lot of the ghost shots. Again, LED lights are not continuous light. They flicker. And the camera, depending on the actual settings and how your frame rate is, can pick up on that flicker. And that's potentially going to lead to ghost shots from what I can tell. Now again, my shadow, just going by the slider and the natural light was counting for shots. And I believe, in my opinion, that is part of the reason for the ghost shots. Now that's just a little bit unfortunate because I do believe Strikeman has tried to make improvements to get this to the point where it is more accurate, but even with the upgraded system, it does still seem to have some deficiencies. So for something in this price range, It's leaning towards usable, but I don't know if it's there to the point where, in my opinion, it's quite worth it. Now, again, I'm new to firearms, so is there something better than this? I'm not too sure. I don't know that this is necessarily like the best that you can get, but at the same time, it should be an effective training tool, so I would want it to perform. So again, I think there's still some work to be done with this Strikeman unit, but the jury's still out. It is going to take some more practice. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. Hope you like what you saw. Hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.